Hey friends, welcome to the channel. If you want to know if you should use Babbel for language learning and if it's worth your time, keep watching. Los geht's! My name is Dustin. I'm an IT project manager from Germany, and on this channel we create content that helps us to be more productive, to learn new things, especially languages, and to live a happier and more fulfilling life. After I have tested Busuu and also made a video about it, I will link it somewhere here, I have now also tested Babbel. Since Babbel and Busuu have many similarities in the approach of how they are teaching a language, also the role of those apps in my learning routine is similar. I've already explained in my video about Busuu the science of the noticing hypothesis, and I will also quickly recap it here. After that we will do an in-depth review about the Babbel app, have a look at the pros and cons, and also see how much it costs. At the end we will do a conclusion if you should use Babbel or Busuu or neither of them. Let's dive into today's topic. I completely forgot, before we can start of course, let's have a nice sip of coffee. Los geht's! So there are different aspects that play a role in language learning. And one is the ability to notice, where there has been the hypothesis of noticing. So the noticing hypothesis. Input does not become intake for language learning unless it is noticed. That is, consciously registered. So it can lead to more learning and speed things up. But at the basis, we need to consume massive amounts of comprehensible and compelling input to get the language in. I already did a video where I explained the comprehensible input hypothesis by Stephen Krashen, and I will also link it here. In a nutshell, comprehensible input means that the content is at the right level for us to be understood, and compelling input means that it's interesting to us. Of course, if we also want to learn to speak, we need to eventually start speaking, but that's a different story. The more content we consume, the higher the chance that we notice stuff. But we can speed things up a bit by doing some grammar lessons and some drills on the side that would help us to notice more stuff while consuming that content or that comprehensible and compelling input. And this can be really useful at any stage of language learning, but especially also at the intermediate plateau, where it's hard to make progress, but this can really get us to the next level. And for that matter, I really like to use apps that help me to notice stuff while I'm consuming massive amounts of comprehensible and compelling input. But it's not the major part of my learning, it's just an addition. So I'm using the smartphone version, which is why we will review the app first. There's an app for iOS as well as Android, and there's also a browser version. The browser version has mainly the same features and functionalities as the app, but we will have a short look on that also later. Now let's have a look at the app. So this is the starting screen. We will come to that later. First I want to show you something different. So let's have a look at the available languages. Here you can see on top, I'm learning Dutch right now. You can see I speak. So this is the source language from which you learn. There's a wide variety available. And then you can see the languages you can actually learn. That's Spanish, so from Latin America, but also from Spain. Same is also for English, true, so you can learn British English or American English. Then there's French, Italian, German, Russian, Portuguese, Norwegian, Polish, Swedish, Turkish, Danish, and Indonesian. So far, so good. The amount of resources available for the different languages varies. So you will find, for example, at bigger languages in quotes, like English or French or also Spanish, more resources than for small languages like Dutch, for example. That's one thing. And then the other thing is, the source language you are using to learn your target language is also influencing the amount of available resources. That's what I, to be honest, have just discovered while I was doing some research for this video. So I was learning Dutch from French to get some additional exposure to the French language while learning a new language. So we only have like 24 hours each day, and I'm learning many languages. And I'm quite proficient in French, but I want to make sure that I don't lose it and that I still have some exposure to the language. And for that matter, I used French as the source language, and I can only highly recommend you to do the same if you have a language that's already fairly advanced, to just do that so you don't have to spend any additional time, but there's still some exposure to the language. But I have seen that if I switch it to English as the source language, there's more available, more resources. Okay, now let's go back to the starting screen. Okay, so here we see today, and there you see the next session. Since I have learned Dutch from French mainly, you can only see here in English the really first session. So there you see up next, okay, so this would be the next lesson we would do. We can also review stuff, but we don't have that yet unlocked because we didn't learn in English. And you can also set a weekly goal where you can put in reasons why you want to learn a language, like skill improvement, for example, or I don't know, work. Let's say skill improvement, and then you can say which level you want to achieve, let's say proficient. And you can also put in like a target time span, or when you want to have achieved that, and based on that you need to learn more or less, let's say, I don't know, 6 to 12 months. And now it is building our goal. Okay, 5 activities per week. Learning for 5 minutes a day, okay, that's not very much, and you can still adjust, so you can put in some more. You can say, okay, confirm goal, and then you can also put in when you want to learn. So I don't know, during my break. Only, I wouldn't recommend that, to do it only every second day, because then it will be hard to follow up on. So probably you just say each day, and at which time, I don't know, 16 o'clock. But of course that depends if you have a structured day, and yeah. But okay, this app has that functionality. That's the first thing. Next thing is you can see the course you want to follow. So here you can do some different courses. So the first one is new, so you get an overview of what's available. Then you get the different courses like newcomer A1, then beginner A2, intermediate B1, and then depending on the language you're learning, it can get up to C1 or something. In Dutch, that has only lessons up to B1, or courses up to B1, then some additional grammar stuff, listening and speaking, countries and traditions, specials, words and sentences. Okay, so we got the course A1. And now let's have a look in how that works. So everything is building upon each other. So lessons are building upon each other. Also, you got some review stuff. So as you can see here, so you start with that. Dag Marie. Dag Marie review. How to pronounce G like the Dutch. Goedenavond, meneer Van Zoon. That's then the next one, and everything is building upon each other. So that's pretty neat. So yeah, I would say let's dive into the exercise. Okay, hear it loud and clear, turn up the volume or use headphones. Got it. Hi. Goedemorgen or hi? Hoi.
Hoi.
Hoi. Okay. Goedemorgen. Okay. Goodbye. Tot ziens. Tot ziens. Tot ziens.
Goedemorgen.
Goedemorgen. Okay, now you need to match it. Okay.
Tot ziens.
Tot ziens. Okay.
Hoi.
Hoi. And there are different activities that you need to do to progress.
Hoi, Pieter.
Hoi, Peter. And that's something that I already recommended in the Busuu video. So I'm always repeating stuff. When I hear something, I'm always repeating it myself. And this way you can work on your pronunciation, and the stuff you are learning sticks way better. So I can only highly recommend that to you to do as well. Okay, and now you have those small text blocks where you get also sometimes explanations about grammar rules and how stuff sticks together. This one is just some information. Another common greeting is dag. This can be used as both hello and bye.
Dag.
Dag. Okay, heads up. Hoi is less formal and is generally used to greet friends and family. And that's really nice. So you get also some insight about what's colloquial, what's not. Also sometimes cultural stuff that I really like.
Dag.
Dag. And now,
Goedemorgen, Wouter.
Goedemorgen, Wouter. And this is really nice. So now you have, as a last exercise, a small dialogue. And this actually happens quite often, that you have at the end of a session a small dialogue. And then you need to fill in the blanks. And this is really cool because you don't learn just stuff outside of a context or just words like that, but you get a real life context that could happen. Actually. So let's see. Good morning, Wouter. Goedemorgen, Wouter.
Dag Marie, hoe gaat het?
Dag Marie, hoe gaat het?
Goed, en met jou?
Goed, en
Ook
met
goed,
jou?
maar ik moet mijn trein halen. Dag.
Ook goed, maar ik moet mijn trein halen. Dag.
Tot ziens.
Tot ziens. Okay. And now you can listen again to the dialogue or you can progress. Great work. So, and as you can see, now I can see, as we can see, the correctly answered exercises, and that's fine. And now, like that, you would progress through the content. That has been the first. And you also get a percentage, how far you are on your level. And this is pretty nice. Okay, now let's do also one intermediate session that you see how different the content there is. So we go to intermediate B1 and start one, okay? A world trip with the Molinar family. In part 1, the family prepared for the big trip. Now they will travel for their first to their first destination. Find out what it means to travel the world with mom, dad, 2 children and 4 very different opinions. Ready? Then click the button below. Continue.
De douane.
De douane. And this is a different exercise, so let's see. De douane.
De douane. Had ik al gezegd dat ik niet graag vlieg? Ik word op het vliegveld altijd nerveus en verdwaal dan.
Ha, jij wilde toch op wereldreis? Kom, we gaan eerst de koffers inchecken, een kopje koffie drinken en dan naar de gate.
Dat klinkt als een goed plan.
Denk je dat mijn jas nog in jouw handbagage past? In mijn rugzak past niks meer.
Mijn tas zit helemaal vol met eten. We kunnen natuurlijk niet zonder hagelslag en pindakaas.
Nou,
Lekker.
ik denk dat ze daar ook lekker eten hebben. Bovendien kom je met pindakaas in je handbagage niet langs de douane.
Oh, dan moet ik dat nog snel in mijn koffer stoppen. Zie je, dat bedoel ik nou. Ik kan pas ontspannen als we door de paspoortcontrole zijn.
Of course, the Dutch people always need peanut butter and what was that, hagelslag? Okay. So, but as you can see, this dialogue is fairly more complicated. And okay, this is a different exercise, so now you need to fill in the blanks. Douane.
Met zo'n opvallende tas kom je nooit door de douane.
Dus het
Okay, now you have, for example, here like a small grammar session. Do you remember to form the singular form of the past tense, you add te or de to the verb stem?
Ja.
Okay, now let's come to the review part. So we can of course also review stuff. So I don't know, there will be an algorithm behind that, opposite spaced repetition algorithm, and then occasionally stuff pops up. So here you can see all the new learned words. Sometimes also I think small phrases. And if you go to review, you got different options. So you can either do speaking, flashcards, or writing. And also sometimes listening, depending on what you are reviewing. Listening would just be someone speaking that aloud, and then you need to map the spoken stuff to pre-built text blocks. Speaking is just like the exercise we did before. So on top you have the word, and then you would just speak it. Hoi.
Hoi.
Like that, for example. Then you got flashcards, as the name already suggests. You got on the front the thing you want to say, hi, and now we translate it, hi, I guess it's hoi.
Hoi.
Hoi, there you go. And then you can mark if you have done it right or wrong. And the other one is writing, so you can also write it out of your memory. So hi, then it would be hoi. Whoops.
Hoi.
Yeah, this way you could review the stuff. Depending on which activity you want to practice, you can use different approaches. But I would say writing is the one that's the most efficient, because there you really see if you memorized it or if you don't. Okay, and then what else do we got? So this is the explore section. There you can see what's available. And you got the courses, we talked about that earlier. And you got also games, which is more like like an experimental new thing here. As you can see, I haven't unlocked it here yet. Let's actually, so this will be one game. There are also more games in other languages. So let's play it. Now we just walk along. And now you need to put together phrases like dort jeans. Bonne réponse. And now I have won against the Phantom. And this way you would just progress until you're at the goal. So let's quit there. And then you also got this one here. Okay, let's see. And you need to come up with words, and you need to do that before the train hits the broken rails. Ik kom uit Nederland. Also some more. This one is okay. Yeah. And that's it. So yeah, really small games, nothing really groundbreaking. Yeah, but can be a nice pastime. Good. What else do we have? Then there's the Babbel magazine. Just some articles about language learning. Let's switch to a different language now. Let's say we speak English. We are learning Spanish, and there you can see that you get way more things. So of course you got more courses, as I already said earlier. So you get up to C1. Also Mexican, Spanish, and other things. You got audio stuff, which is pretty cool. So you got an audio course with transcript. And that's pretty cool, because I'm always preaching about consuming massive amounts of comprehensive and compelling input. And here you got also some comprehensible input. So that's something I really like. But that's unfortunately not available for all languages. And then you got also the podcasts, or the original Babbel podcasts, but you can also get them on your regular podcast service. So this is not really an app exclusive. But the course on top, yes, it is. And then those games, so here you got even a different game, and the magazine, as we already had. Yeah, and that's pretty much it about the app. And for the bigger languages, you also got that live thing here, where you can do some speaking sessions with tutors, but there you need to pay additionally. So that's not really included within the app, but it's kind of an additional service here. Yeah, I'm using italki to speak, but yeah, you could also use that, for example. Okay, and the browser version, of course, as you can see here, has the same functionalities as the app. So nothing special here, nothing to remark. You can do all the same stuff. You need to make sure that if you want to use the voice recognition stuff, that you have a microphone connected or available. But other than that, yeah, self-explaining. So now let's come first to the pros. So the app design is logical and you can find everything easily. There's not too much fluff, but yeah, it's overall okay. There are in total 12 languages available and the content is varied and not too boring. Sometimes there's a bit much stock material in terms of the pictures, but that's just a small point. Then it can help you to notice stuff, especially at the later stages of language learning, but that's a general point for those kind of apps. And you also get some varied exercises, so to mix things up. And another pro point, of course, is that you have different dialects or accents. Like, for example, you have Spanish from Latin America, you got also Spanish from Spain, and same for English, like British English, American English. That's not standard, I would say, and that's pretty cool. Now let's come to the downsides. As I've already mentioned, the amount of content also depends on the source language, and that's something I don't really like. Sometimes the app can be a little bit slow in its reactions, but that's just a minor detail. The progress could be more visible. I mean, we had that percentage thing on the course you are doing, but I think there could be more, like learned words, percentage overall, just something where you would have like a dashboard that's a bit more motivating, because I'm always preaching about making things visible, make progress visible, and yeah, that's something that could be improved for sure. And then a minor detail, there's no dark mode, which has become nowadays standard to have one. And then another one, they are mainly European languages, so no complex Asian languages or like Arabic or something like that, where you would also need to learn a different alphabet or even different scripts or signs. So the free version is not really worth to mention. It's just a test version really, because you can only do the first lesson of each course. But anyway, so now let's have a look at the pricing. Of course, that changes constantly, but right now it's, for example, 17 euro for 1 month, for 3 months, 13 for 6 months, 10, and for 12 months it's 7 euro or 83 or almost 84 euro for that time span. I would always go with the longest, and yeah, but in general there's also sometimes a lifetime subscription. I don't know what it costs right now, but yeah, that you probably need to Google. So now, should you use rather Babbel or Busuu? I really like about Busuu the community aspect, the community feature where you can interact with other people and get their feedback on your pronunciation and yeah, on how you're doing stuff. That's missing within Babbel, so it can feel a bit isolated, a bit cold probably. Then of course you should check if the language you want to learn is available in one of those two apps. I will put a list of the available languages also in this description of the video. Then also don't check just if the language is available, but also how many resources are available within the language or for that language, and also from the source language you are learning, as I've already mentioned. So for Turkish, for example, I think in Busuu there's way more available than in Babbel. The same applies also, of course, to Dutch, especially the smaller languages or a bit more uncommon to learn languages are worth being checked. Of course, the big languages like, I don't know, French, Spanish, English, they will find in all apps always lots of content. Busuu feels a bit more modern, if you ask me, in terms of how they have designed the app, but that's probably just my opinion. The audio course of Babbel is pretty neat, I have to give that. And I would also say Busuu makes the progress a bit better visible, and the price is exactly the same. So it's like 7 euro per month for a 12-month subscription for Busuu as well as for Babbel. So as you have already probably guessed, I like Busuu a bit more than Babbel, but that's just my personal opinion. Just try out both and then see if it works in general for you or not. So now let's conclude. Babbel or Busuu can be a great addition to your language learning by using the noticing hypotheses. But still, the major part of your language learning should come from comprehensible and compelling input by using an app, for example, like Lingq. And of course by speaking if you want to become fluent. If you have enough time on a daily basis to consume comprehensible input and also do like your sessions with Busuu or Babbel, that's of course great. If you like this video and want to see more language learning app reviews, I got the right playlist for you. Or if you want to spice up your language learning a bit, I also got a playlist on gaming for language learning. Please let me know in the comments if you have already tried Babbel and how you liked it, or if you want to try it actually. Also, if you found the video useful, please leave me a like and a subscription to the channel, and to not miss anything going forward, click on the notification bell. Thank you very much for watching and see you the next time.